So before we start, I wanted to apologize for the different voice tones that the boys go through throughout this because I stopped and started a lot, and when I did so, I would fiddle with their voices. Probably shouldn't have done that, but I figured this is my first audio recording for a fan fiction, and to be honest, the only person I can disappoint is myself for this one because it's my own fan fiction, it's not anybody else's. So I do have a plan to buy a really nice mic, and hopefully that would improve my audio recording. I have a list that I want to do, and I really want to do this. Maybe not every time I'll have a picture in the background that I'll be drawing like I will be in this one, but I really am inspired to do this because I love Tower of God, I love KhunBam, and this is something that has been on my mind for practically a year. So thank you for listening to my 2-minute rant. Please enjoy the fanfiction reading. First Valentines by Kerica, which is me.
It was the first Valentines after getting together, and to say Bam had butterflies was an understatement. He felt like he had so many fucking butterflies fluttering in his body he might float away with how fast they were beating. Gods, he could barely concentrate on what he was doing. What was he doing? Right, writing a list. Ingredients, specifically. Khun liked chocolate, which was a relief since chocolate was literally everywhere. But like hell he was gonna go buy some stupid store-bought stuff. He was a cook! Everyone complimented his cooking skills. Okay, he could do this. What could he make? Nothing too much they couldn't eat together. Cupcakes were fine, but not personal enough, even if he did a surprise filling. Brownies and milk? Brownies and ice cream? No. That sounded like a cop-out. Besides, brownies got all hard and stuck to the teeth when they were cold. Pastries? A chocolate Danish sort of thing? But those could be really delicate and finicky, and he needed time to do that. Time was flaky like a pastry, too. He'd have a lot of it at inopportune times, or not enough of it when he really wanted it. He wanted this to work, damn it. Wanted his Khun all to his goddamn self for one lousy day. Was that too hard? Huh? He sighed. He felt like a child, pen tapping in irritation on the notepad, flicking between his fingers. What would be easy to make still mean something? What could be shared simply between them? Maybe something that would go by quickly rather than linger. Something that would melt in the mouth like a pastry. Liquid caramel eyes lit up in excitement, and his hand was a flurry as it jotted down what he needed. Tooth-rottingly sweet, but it was for one day, so they could be indulgent, and it would be shared so they wouldn't feel so guilty. It was perfect. He hopped in place excitedly as he pulled the list off the pad and held it to his chest. His smile was so wide it pulled up the apples of his cheeks, and he whipped around, ponytail bouncing with him as he made his way towards the door. Time for shopping! Oh, maybe he could get a gift while he was at it. Something useful, but not dumb. Well, maybe a little dumb if they had heart patterns on it, but he really liked it. Only time would tell. So,
How much is too much? I shouldn't even be surprised. It's not Yule Bomb. There's a bunch of small gifts. A couple could even go together. Don't you give me that frown. Fine. If you're getting small gifts, then I'll get one big one. Okay, that's fair. I just couldn't choose. A couple of them you'll find funny. I swear to God, if you got me dumb underwear...
No response.
Ugh, Bam, you can't even lie over the phone. You're hopeless. Fine, I'll pretend to be surprised and get you something cheesy too, to retaliate. I hate you. Love you more. What am I going to do with you? Why are you the way that you are? Love me back, and I'm this way because it's fun. Seems legit. Alright, I guess I love you too. Yay!
It was hilarious when the post came with only a couple days to spare. Khun had grabbed his box and stuck his tongue out at Bam, who grinned wide and held his box close to his chest, trying to protect it.
You're lucky, you're endearing.
Khun had said with a scoff, only for Bam to giggle. Part of Khun wondered why they didn't just wrap the stupid boxes like it was Yule. By the time Valentine's Day actually rolled around, that was exactly what he did with the big gift he had gotten. There was no reason not to, after all. The rest went into tinier bags to be separated, all with different designs, so he could remember what was what. It looked like Bam had done the same, and even wrapped one of his gifts individually. It made him laugh softly as they sat at the table outside the kitchen. A couple of bags, 2 envelopes, and 2 boxes between them. Chocolate was in the air, and it made Khun's mouth water.
What'd you make, Bomb?
He asked, putting his elbows on the table and bridged his fingers, chin resting on them. His eyes were half-lidded, watching the other man from underneath pale lashes.
Why don't you start with that? You just want the chocolate.
Bam teased, but conceded, glad he hadn't sat down. Patting one of his bags, he went back around the wall and came back with a plate with a glass dome over it. Khun's eyes widened. So that was why he hadn't let him go in there. That was Fudge. Bam grinned, the cat that got the cream, and maybe later he would for real. Taking off the dome, he set it in the middle of the table. The first top pieces were covered in shredded peppermint pieces. Then on the bottom were some with caramel drizzle, a variety for both of their tastes, and plain ones scattered around.
1 gift, 1 piece. You have more gifts than I do.
Khun pouted.
It was never a competition, it was accidental.
Bam rolled his eyes.
Maybe I want to guarantee I'll get a few. I made them for us.
A lamenting sigh.
You drive a hard bargain.
He waved his hand back and forth.
Fine. You go first, then.
Lighting up, Bam slid over the bigger bag.
Let's start small. It's a twofer.
Khun rolled his eyes this time. Taking it, he sighed deeply as he tugged out the underwear he'd been expecting. A metal clang on the wood made him startle when he unraveled it, but he left it alone for the moment. The feeling of the boxer surprised him, and he tilted his head. Silken and smooth, water slipping between his fingers.
I might wear these unironically,
Khun mused. They were black with shiny red and white hearts, but the material made them forgivable.
These are very nice, Bomb. Thank you. Now take your silly piece of chocolate. I get 2, and you haven't looked at the second one.
Bam protested even as he grabbed a caramel one from the bottom of the stack.
It still only counts as 1. It came in 1 bag.
Khun countered, sliding his own bag over and picking up the metal thing. A keychain. He hummed, turning it in his hands, and then paused, blinking slowly.
Drive safe. I need you here with me.
There were little hearts around the engraving, and Khun felt his throat get a little tight. Without waiting for Bam to see his, he snatched one of the peppermint fudge pieces. It melted on his tongue and nearly moaned at the taste.
Fuck, Bam, that's amazing.
He didn't comment on the keychain, and Bam didn't push it, but the expression was fond.
I know.
Bam murmured and tugged out the underwear. After unrolling them, he gave a sudden bark of laughter that made Khun's mouth twitch. Black boxer briefs that said, "Property of AA" on the back, with 3 little red hearts below it.
You even got it custom. I sure did.
Khun was proud of himself.
Alright, Mom. What's next? This next one you could put on your desk at work.
Bam beamed as he gave him a second bag and took his next fudge. This one plain, but he was still sucking bits off the first one, so he set it to the side. Intrigued, Khun dug through the red stuffing paper and pulled out
A rock.
It was dark gray in tone, and he furrowed his brows.
Not just any rock, a river rock. The color of it was random. Anyway, read it.
Bam waved at him eagerly. Smooth in his palm with a sturdy weight, he felt the etching with his thumb. This could be a nice worry stone.
Happy Valentine's Day. No matter the day or the hour on the clock, never forget you are my rock.
Included with a heart at the bottom of the saying, all in gold. Khun let out a breathy laugh. It was cheesy too, but he could see why Bam thought it would work on his desk at his office.
Alright, you got me. This is nice too.
He shoved the envelope towards Bam and grabbed another fudge. Maybe he could beat him to the feels department. Blinking curiously, Bam expected a silly Valentine's card, but what he pulled out was a black card that was the perfect size to go in a wallet, and the brunette made a choked noise in his throat.
Oh.
The next was a soft laugh as well. Sometimes they thought alike.
I choose you, and I will choose you over and over and over again. Without pause, without a doubt, in a heartbeat. I will keep choosing you. You will forever be my always, until my last breath.
Bam was quiet, thumbing over the white lettering, tears pricking at the corner of his eyes. He heard Khun gently call his name, and he straightened, clearing his throat.
I'm fine. It's wonderful, a girl.
He watched Khun duck his head and look to the side at the use of his actual name. Bam decided he'd wait. He didn't want them to break too soon. So he took the wrapped box and pushed it towards him, mindful of the fudge tray and dome. Khun pulled back, blinking.
Oh, alright. If we're doing the wrapped ones next, let's do it at the same time.
When Bam nodded, he took his and reached around the table since it was too large and cumbersome to slide and avoid things. When they were ready, they dug into the wrapping paper, ripping sounds filling the room. It felt like Yule all over again, for sure, and Khun laughed a little, Bam joining him. Then Khun was really laughing, throwing his head back while Bam had to use his pocket knife to slice open the tape.
Are you kidding me?
Khun was snickering. In his hand was what looked like a convenience store black tray with plastic covering, and inside were sushi rolls of different kinds, but they weren't. Popping the lid, Khun took one, and sure enough, it was fabric.
Sushi socks, Bam. You like sushi?
Bam was grinning from ear to ear again, glad the gag gift was appreciated.
Yeah, I like eating it. You're lucky these are soft.
Khun tossed one still rolled up at him, and it bounced off his head, making Bam give a little hey. Finally, Bam got the box open and pulled out one of the items inside.
Ooh, a hoodie.
Bam oohed at it.
The boss, huh?
His lips quirked and his eyes danced. He looked into the box and saw another black hoodie.
Wait, two? Oh, is this a couple thing?
He practically bounced in his seat and draped the other one over his shoulder and tugged out the second. A laugh bubbled up.
The real boss. This must be yours.
He teased Khun as he thumbed across the real part in cursive red script.
It is? Now toss it over.
Khun grinned back and caught it when he did.
This was the big gift.
He didn't put it on, just held it in his arms as Bam felt the fabric on the inside.
Since the team often sees us together, thought it'd be funny to have this when it's not cold enough for jackets, but not hot enough to go without. Awesome!
Bam nodded his agreement.
Spring is right around the corner, after all. This is great, Aguero. Hey, since that broke the back and forth, why don't you give me your last gift? Mine's just the envelope, anyway. Sure.
Khun pushed it over and leaned to drape the hoodie on the back of the chair.
Aguero.
It was soft, marveling, and in his hands were two bracelets. Simple, really. One was fully onyx with white howlite stone. The other was the opposite.
This is...
Golden eyes looked up at him. For the hoodies they couldn't wear all the time. These, though...
You're marking me, aren't you?
It was subtle, but it was significant. Possessive.
I understand what I'm doing, Bam. I know it's a tough thing for you. What it means.
Bam was incredibly possessive, knew the tendencies he had, and tried not to crack a can of worms he couldn't control. Khun, for one, didn't care. It scared Bam how much he was okay with it, and that fear had kept him from going further than his urges wanted him to. Khun was tired of him holding back. There were two people Khun cared about outside of Bam, and one of them he barely saw anymore. The rest of their posse were drawn to Bam, not him. He reached his arm out across the table, wrist up and within Bam's reach.
I want the white one. Of course you do.
Bam was sassy in his response, but his breathing was uneven, eyes dark.
Might as well have asked me to marry you. I'll leave that to you.
Khun kept their eye contact. He was serious, and seeing that made Bam gulp.
What are you waiting for? Put the bracelet on me, Bam. I'll put the black one on you.
Bam simply nodded slowly and took Khun's wrist. It made him shiver to feel the tender stroke over the veins, and then the cool stone slipped over it, settling in place. Standing, he kept his movements slow and steady, going around the table and took the onyx stone bracelet. Bam was trembling, and Khun kissed the inside of his wrist, listening to the hitch in his throat. Then it was on with an easy flick, the unspoken deal sealed with the rattle.
Take the envelope, Aguero.
It was a quiet order. Deftly grabbing it, Khun noticed dimly that it was a little thicker than his had been. Humming, he tugged the first card out, then nearly dropped it.
Bam?
Khun's eyes widened, a little panicked. It was one of those wallet cards he'd given him earlier, only this one said something different.
No, you didn't. This isn't. Read each one, Aguero. They aren't dumb cards. I couldn't choose because they all fit how I feel.
Bam was firm and unwavering. Khun felt his throat go raw. Distance means so little when someone means so much. The thought of being with you tomorrow gives me the strength to go on today. No distance is too long when two hearts are made for each other. I love you. What was he going to do with him? That really was so Bam. He felt fondness wash over him. This one was probably for those times when he went on business trips and Bam couldn't come along. Quietly, he thumbed out the second. Never forget that I love you. Sometimes it's hard to find words to tell you how much you mean to me. If I did anything right in my life, it was when I gave my heart to you. You are my best friend, my soulmate, my everything. Was Bam's goal to make him cry today? Khun tried not to, he really did. Even set his jaw, pulled the third one out. When I tell you I love you, I don't say it out of habit. I say it to remind you that you are the best thing that has ever happened to me. I love you. How many were there? He checked the pouch and was relieved this was the last one. His heart couldn't take it. When I say I love you more, I don't mean I love you more than you love me. I mean I love you more than the bad days ahead of us. I love you more than any fight we will ever have. I love you more than the distance between us. I love you more than any obstacle that could try and come between us. I love you the most. Bam. Damn it, his voice cracked and his vision blurred. He didn't deserve this man. The cards were all bursting with how much Bam loved and cherished him. I love you, Aguero. No, nope. His lip wasn't trembling. There was a stroke to his cheek and he looked up, meeting Bam's more tender expression. I love you too. It was whispered. If he went any higher, it would break. When he was tugged at the hip, he went willingly into Bam's lap, gently putting all the cards on the table while never taking his eyes off his precious love. You gave me bracelets. You're mine now, Aguero. You can't take it back. No, I wouldn't. I won't. Yes, you're mine. I'm yours, Mom. Khun promised in a rush. He closed his eyes and tried to breathe. Bam's gaze was too much, too intense. The other shifted, and in the following moment, he felt the press of one of the fudge pieces. He obediently opened his mouth, but Bam was such a tease, only letting him lick at it and then smeared it on his lips. You didn't tell me how it tastes. Bam's voice was velveteen. The fudge was pulling away, and when Khun peeled an eye open, he groaned, seeing him coat his own lips in chocolate, minus the peppermint. It tastes amazing, Mom. I think you're just saying that. God damn it, let me prove it to you then. With his fingers digging into that tiny ponytail, he crashed their mouths together and they moaned into each other. You may be right. Bam cooed when they separated. That was the first time I made chocolate. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I've always had the best taste in chocolate. Khun smirked at him. But I think I'll enjoy you more.